What is going on, and welcome to a Time Killers podcast quick look. We're here playing the Hellforged closed playtest. I recently submitted for this and was invited to play, and I've been playing it non-stop. What is Hellforged, you may be asking? Well, it's a loot-driven extraction bullet heaven action RPG with roguelike elements, of course. What does that mean, actually? So the two obvious comparison points I go to are Vampire Survivors, or any Survivors like, and Diablo, or popular action RPGs. So it's really sort of trying to blend the just sort of the over-the-top action where you're just constantly facing wave after wave of enemy and taking them out with these just like really big stylistic bombastic powers, but then you're coming back to your base, you're picking up loot, you're coming back to your home base, you're leveling up, and that's sort of what your meta progression is in between the runs. So those who are familiar with Diablo will feel right at home with like the inventory system, the way the upgrade system works, even the leveling. There's a skill tree, very similar to what you would expect in an action RPG like Diablo or Path of Exile. So that part, like, I'm really impressed with that so far. Just how closely it resembles that, but then, it lends itself to that, like, addictive nature that ARPGs can have, a good ARPG. So it's got, like, that good meta progression. All right, so let's jump into an expedition here and show you guys what this looks like. So like I said, the first half of this game essentially is a the Survivors like. So if you've played Vampire Survivors, combat is automatic. I'm not controlling anything except the movement of my character while he just sort of auto attacks. But then there are different sort of objectives and touch points along the way for you to go find. Another game this reminds me of is Megabonk, which I played a lot of. It was almost one of my top 10 games of 2025. And I think one of the things that I like over Megabonk is that there's just more structure to the maps, and like you kind of know what you need to go do and see. And so like the more we play, the more you'll kind of see that. So, as you pick up experience gems, you're leveling up, you get to pick between, different perks similar to, Vampire Survivors or Megabonk, where, it's things like your attack damage, you're adding the opportunity to steal life. It's really just playing with the different percentages. There's different rarities of the buffs that you can get similarly to like a Megabonk. So seems like I got a good pull here. So it's plus 30% to my main attack damage. Love that. You'll see their map to the left trigger. I'm playing on controller. I've got like an ultimate ability. I believe it's called Overdrive. So you'll see that as I'm leveling up and picking different skills. I'm going to increase the attack radius. I like to save that for the challenges, which you'll see we just popped a shrine. These shrines just popped up. So as you're waiting essentially for this obelisk to charge, which is the sort of main countdown mechanism that you're waiting on, different challenges will pop up. These shrines are how you get your like extra abilities. So you'll summon the mini boss, you gotta fight the mini boss. I'm gonna pop my overdrive and melt him down pretty easily. And now, woohoo, I get to pick new ability. So you'll unlock these in between runs. This is another sort of progression point. You unlock these different abilities, different, elements. So, all of the sort of standard options are here, fire, but they've got these cool like weapon-based ones like a War Lance. I'm gonna do the War Lance. I haven't tried the War Lance yet, so let's give that a try. And let's up my life regeneration. So yeah, the name of the game really is just building up your power curve, beating the sort of difficulty curve with your own power curve. just sort of surviving until the end, beating the bosses. You know, obviously the bosses are, you know, the bosses and the additional challenges are going to give you extra perks and things like that that make it easier down the road. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know, like, it's hard not to be impressed by this game. I think the production values are really, really good. One thing about Vampire Survivors that just I didn't love was just the really like low poly, you know, pixel art style, where this is something that is more, you know, up to the standard of games like Diablo, and it resembles those games. It scratches that itch without the time commitment necessarily. So a little bit about the people making this game. This is developed by Moonpire Studio. This is their debut title. Their studios, you know, since it's their first game, like the real sort of like their design ethos. It's, you know, really like their philosophy is that small teams can still make games that feel deliberate, refined, and rewarding to play. In that you know, really you can achieve a level of polish, you know, with a smaller team. And so really, like, you can see that I think in this game, is that like the level of polish there, like the environments look good, like it's really immersive and dark and everything you would want from like sort of a dark fantasy setting, while also just having the ridiculously addictive gameplay loop of something like a Vampire Survivors. So I think this is a game that when it does come out, I am going to be obsessed with it. They currently, they just announced this game like 3 weeks ago, and with that they announced the playtest, but they're aiming to have this launch later this year in 2026, and it looks like they're targeting a full release instead of early access. And based on what I've seen so far of this game, like, it seems like it's pretty far along. There's, you know, it looks like there's at least 2 unlockable characters. Right now you can only play as just one, but you know, there's the option of like, it looks like more of like an elf ranger type character. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the content is there. I think the progression, like the, you know, both in run and like in between run progressions is really good, really satisfying. I can see myself spending, you know, dozens of hours in this game just based on what I've seen already. Like I said, there's you know, the stuff is here. Like, I think this game has the sauce. Like, if you're a fan of these sort of like twin stick endless horde games, but I think the hook here is going to be that progression in between. You know, I feel like it's jump in and jump out. It doesn't have the time commitment of something like a Diablo or a Path of Exile, but it also kind of offers similar levels of like progression and like customization. Another thing I like about this too is that at any point you can, if you know, you start to feel like you're underpowered, you're getting overwhelmed, you can back out and extract. So I'll make my way over here. We still have 3 minutes to hold out, but that's the obelisk that's charging. And then if at any point I do feel like, oh man, I gotta get out of here, I can go back and escape the camp. I keep my loot and whatever I've sort of gained from this round without giving it up. If you die during a run, you keep up to 3 item pieces, or 3 drops essentially, and then you lose everything else. You know, you keep like the gems and stuff that you know, is the currency that you're using to level up and things like that as well. But yeah, so there is like an extract element to it too, which I really like. You know, so it adds that risk reward layer. You know, if you feel like you need to get out, you can get out and still feel like you're gaining something. It's not you know, everything or nothing type situation. So once the collapse starts, we have the option to go through and seal these rifts and give you extra points and things like that. There is a leaderboard system as well to this, so similarly to like a Megabonk, you can see like other players' scores. So I haven't gotten too into this stuff. Like, this all seems pretty optional. The collapse has ended. That's it. It's just kind of like instant ends the... Now it's time to escape. Get out. And that's it. We made it. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. Once again, this is Hellforged. It's coming out later this year on PC. It is being developed by Moonpire Studios and published by Grindstone. Wishlist it, look out for it, and let me know what you think about this quick look format. Let me know what you think about the game down in the comments below, and until then, we'll see you on the next one.